Chapter 4. It was dead dark when the A-link beside Eve's head beeped. The cop in her surfaced first, smacked the engage, and reared up. Dallas, oh God, Dallas, I need help. The woman in her caught up with the cop in a snap and stared at Mavis's image on screen. Lights, she ordered, and the room brightened so that she could see clearly. The white face, a blackening bruise just under the eye, raw, bleeding scrapes on the cheek, wild disheveled hair. Mavis, what is it? Where are you? You've got to come. Her breath hitched and snarled. Her eyes were too glazed with shock to allow tears. Hurry, please. I think she's dead and I don't know what to do. Eve didn't ask for location again, but punched in order to trace transmission. Recognizing Leonardo's address when it blipped on under Mavis's face, she kept her voice calm and firm. Stay where you are. Don't touch anything. You understand me? Don't touch anything, and don't let anyone in but me. Mavis? Yes, I will. I won't. Hurry. It's so awful. I'm on my way. When she turned, Rourke was already up and pulling on his trousers. I'll go with you. She didn't argue. In 5 minutes flat they were on the road and speeding through the deepest slice of night. Empty streets gave way to the constant swarm of tourists in Midtown, the flash of video billboards offering every pleasure and purchase known to man. Then to the trendy insomniacs of the village who loitered over minuscule cups of flavored coffee and lofty discussions in outdoor cafes, and finally, to the sleepy habitats of the artists. Other than to find out their destination, Rourke didn't ask questions, and she was grateful for it. She could see Mavis's face in her mind, white and terrified. Worse, much worse, she saw Mavis's hand, trembling, and the smear that had darkened it had been blood. A high wind that hinted of a brewing storm whipped through the city canyons. It slapped at Eve as she leapt from Rourke's car before he'd stopped completely at the curb. She took the 30 yards of sidewalk in a dead run, smacked the security camera. Mavis. It's Dallas. Mavis. Damn it. Such was her state of mind that it took her 10 frustrated seconds to realize the unit was smashed. Rourke went through the unsecured door and into the elevator beside her. When it opened, she knew it was as bad as she'd feared. On her earlier visit, Leonardo's loft had been cheerfully cluttered, colorfully disorganized. Now it was viciously tumbled. Long trails of material shredded, tables overturned with their contents strewn and broken. There was blood, a great deal of it, splattered on walls and silks like a bad-tempered child's angry finger paints. Don't touch anything, she snapped at Rourke, out of reflex. Mavis. She took 2 steps forward, then stopped as one of the billowing curtains of shimmery cloth rippled. Mavis moved past it, stood swaying. Dallas. Thank God. Okay. It's okay. The minute Eve caught her close, the relief poured. The blood wasn't Mavis's, though it was spotted on her clothes, on her hands. You're hurt. How bad? I'm dizzy, sick. My head. Let her sit down, Eve. Taking Mavis's arm, Rourke led her to a chair. Come on, darling. Sit down. That's the way. She's in shock. Eve, get her a blanket. Put your head back, Mavis. That's a girl. Close your eyes and just breathe for a while. It's cold. I know. He reached down, flipped up a ragged piece of glistening satin, and draped it over her. Deep breaths, Mavis. Slow, deep breaths. He flicked a glance up at Eve. She needs attention. I can't call the MTs before I know what the situation is. Do what you can for her. All too aware of what she was likely to find, Eve moved past the curtain. She died badly. It was the hair that confirmed to Eve who the woman had once been. The glorious curling flame of it. Her face, with its stunning, almost eerie perfection, was all but gone, mashed and mangled under cruel, repeated blows. The weapon was still carelessly tossed aside. Eve supposed it was intended to be some sort of fancy cane or walking stick, a fashionable affectation. Under the blood and gore it was a glossy silver, perhaps an inch thick with an ornate handle in the shape of a grinning wolf. She'd seen it, tipped into a corner of Leonardo's workspace, only 2 days before. It was not necessary to check Pandora's pulse, but Eve did so. Then she stepped back carefully so as not to contaminate the scene any further. Christ, Rourke murmured from behind her, then laid both hands on her shoulders. "What are you going to do?" "Whatever I have to." Mavis wouldn't have done this. He turned her to face him. "You don't have to tell me that. She needs you, Eve. She needs a friend, and she's going to need a good cop." "I know. It's not going to be easy on you being both. I'd better get started." She walked back to where Mavis sat. Her face was like softened wax, the bruise and the scratches livid against the bone-white skin. Eve crouched down and took Mavis's icy hands in hers. "I need you to tell me everything." "Take your time, but tell it all." She wasn't moving. There was all the blood, and the way her face looked. And she wasn't moving. "Mavis." Eve gave the hands one quick, hard squeeze. "Look at me. Tell me exactly what happened from the time you got here." "I came a broken bar. I wanted a broken bar. I thought I should talk to Leonardo." She shivered, plucked at the scrap of material covering her with hands still stained with blood. "He was upset when he went to the club the last time looking for me. He even threatened the bouncer, and that's not like him. I didn't want him to ruin his career, so I thought I could talk to him. I came, and someone had broken the security unit, so I just came on up. The door wasn't locked." "Sometimes he forgets," she murmured and trailed off. "Mavis, was Leonardo here?" Leonardo, dulled with shock, her eyes scanned the room. "No, I don't think so." I called out, because I saw there was such a mess. Nobody answered. "And there was blood." "I saw blood. So much blood. I was afraid, Dallas, afraid that maybe he'd killed himself or something crazy, and so I ran back and towed a broken bar back. I saw her. I think a broken bar. I went over. I think I did because I was kneeling beside her and I was trying to scream. I couldn't scream. It was all in my head that I was screaming, and I couldn't stop. And then I think something hit me. I think a broken bar." Vaguely she touched her fingers to the back of her head. "It hurts. But everything was the same when I woke up. She was still and the blood was still there. And I called you." "Okay. Did you touch her, Mavis? Did you touch anything?" "I don't remember." "I don't think so." "Who did that to your face?" "Pandora." A quick spurt of fear. "Honey, you told me she was dead when you got here." "It was before. Earlier tonight. I went to her house." Eve took a careful breath to counteract the twisting in her stomach. "You went to her house tonight." "When?" "I don't know exactly. About 11 maybe." "I wanted to tell her I'd stay away from Leonardo, to make her promise not to ruin everything for him." "You fought with her?" "She was jazzed up on something. There were some people there, like a small party. She was nasty, said things. I said things back. We got into it a little. She smacked me, scratched me." Mavis tugged back her hair to reveal other wounds along her neck. "A couple of the people that broke it up, and I left." "Where did you go?" "A couple of bars." She smiled weakly. "A lot of bars, I think." Feeling sorry for myself. Just hanging. "Then I got the idea to talk to Leonardo." "When did you get here? Do you know what time?" "No, late, real late. 3, 4 o'clock." "Do you know where Leonardo is?" "Number." "He wasn't here." "I wanted him to be here, but she broken bar." "What's going to happen?" "I'm going to take care of it." "I have to call this in, Mavis. If I don't do it soon, it's going to look bad. I'm going to have to put all of this on record, and I'm going to have to take you into interview." Into a broken bar?" "You don't think Of course I don't." It was important to keep her voice brisk, to disguise her own fears. "But we're going to clear it all up as quick as we can, as clean as we can." "Let me do the worrying right now." "Okay." "I can't feel much of anything." "You just sit here while I start things rolling." "I want you to try to remember details. Who you talked to tonight, where you were, what you saw. Everything you can remember." "We'll go over it all again in a little while." "Dallas." With a little shudder, Mavis sat back. "Leonardo? He'd never do that to anyone." "Let me do the worrying," Eve repeated. She glanced at Rourke, and understanding the signal, he moved over to sit with Mavis. Eve pulled out her communicator and turned away. "Dallas, I have a homicide." Eve's life had never been easy. In her career as a cop she had seen and done too many nightmarish things to count them all. But nothing had ever been more difficult for her than taking Mavis into interview. "Are you feeling okay?" "You don't have to do this now." "No, The MTs gave me a local. Mavis reached up, touched the lump on the back of her head, numbed it good. They fiddled around with some other stuff, kind of snapped me back into focus. Eve took a long study of Mavis's eyes, her color. Everything looked normal, but it didn't ease her dread. Listen, it wouldn't hurt for you to check into health center for a day or two. You're just putting it off. I'd rather get it over with. Leonardo? She swallowed hard. Has anyone found Leonardo? Not yet. Mavis, you can have an attorney or representative here. I don't have anything to hide. I didn't kill her, Dallas. Eve flicked a glance at the recorder. It could wait just another minute. Mavis, I have to do this by the ropes. Exactly. They can bump me off the case if I don't. If I'm not primary, I can't be as much help to you. Mavis licked her lips, her tongue quick and thirsty. It's going to be hard. It could be really, really hard. You're going to have to handle it. Mavis tried for a smile, nearly managed it. Hey, nothing can be worse than walking in and finding Pandora. Nothing. Oh, yes, it could, Eve thought. But she nodded. She engaged the recorder, recited her name, ID, and officially gave Mavis her rights. Carefully, she took Mavis over the same ground she had covered on the scene, pinning down times as much as possible. When you went to the victim's home to talk to her, other people were present. A few. It looked like a small party. Justin Young was there. You know, the actor. Jerry Fitzgerald, the model, and another guy I didn't recognize. Looked like a suit. You know, an exec. The victim attacked you. She popped me one, Mavis said ruefully, fingering the bruise on her cheek. She started out just being bitchy. The way her eyes were wheeling around in her head, I figured she was pumped. You believe she was using illegals? Big time. I mean, her eyes were like crystal wheels, and that punch. I tangled with her before. You saw it, Mavis went on while Eve winced. She didn't have that kind of power before. You hit her back? I think I got one in, at least one. She scratched me at those damn nails of hers. I went for her hair. I think it was Justin Young and the suit that pulled us apart. And then, I guess we spit at each other for a couple of minutes. Then I left, went bar crawling. Where did you go? How long did you stay? I went a couple of places. I think I hit the Zigzag first, the joint over on 61st and Lex. Did you speak to anyone? I didn't want to talk to anyone. My face hurt, and I was feeling lousy. I ordered a triple zombie and sulked. How'd you pay for it? I think a broken bar. Yeah. I think I just entered my credit account on screen. Good. That'd be a record. Time, place. From there, where did you go? I walked around, bumped into another couple of dives. I was pretty blitzed. Were you still ordering drinks? I must have been. I was pretty drunk when I thought about going over to Leonardo's. How'd you get downtown? I walked. I needed to sober up a little, so I walked. Took a glide a couple of times, but mostly hoofed. Hoping to spark some memory, Eve repeated all the information Mavis had just given. When you left the Zigzag, which direction did you walk? I just hit two triple zombies. I wasn't walking, I was stumbling. I don't know which way. Dallas, I don't know the name of the other joints I went into, what else I drank. It's all a blur. Music, people laughing, a broken bar, a table dancer. Male or female? A guy hung, with a tattoo. I think. Could have been paint. Pretty sure it was a snake, maybe a lizard. What did he look like? The table dancer. Shit, Dallas, I never looked above the waist. Did you talk to him? Mavis put her head in her hands and struggled to bring it back. Holding on to the memory was like trying to hold a fistful of water. I just don't know. I was seriously impaired. I remember walking and walking, getting to Leonardo's, thinking it was the last time I was going to see him. I didn't want to be drunk when I did, so I took some sober up before I went in. Then I found her, and it was a lot worse than being drunk. What was the first thing you saw when you walked in? Blood. Lots of blood. Things knocked over, ripped, more blood. I was so afraid that Leonardo had hurt himself, and I ran back to his work area, and saw her. This was a memory she could bring back with perfect clarity. I saw her. I recognized her because of the hair, and because she was wearing the same outfit as she'd had on earlier. But her facie a broken bar, it really wasn't even there at all. I couldn't scream. I knelt down beside her. I don't know what I thought I could do, but I had to do something. Then something hit me, and when I woke up, I called you. Did you see anyone as you were going into the building, on the street outside? It was late. Tell me about the security camera. It was broken. Sometimes street punks get a charge out of bashing them. I didn't think anything of it. How did you get into the apartment? The door wasn't locked. I just walked in. And Pandora was dead when you got there? You didn't speak with her? Argue? No. I told you. She was lying there. You'd fought with her earlier, twice. Did you fight with her tonight in Leonardo's apartment? She was dead. Dallas A. Why did you fight with her on the previous occasions? She threatened to ruin Leonardo's career. Emotions flickered over Mavis's bruised face. Hurt, fear, grief. She wouldn't let him go. We were in love, but she wouldn't let him go. You saw the way she was, Dallas. Leonardo and his career are very important to you. I love him, Mavis said quietly. You'd do anything to protect him, to see that he wasn't harmed, personally or professionally. I decided to get out of his life, Mavis stated with a dignity that warmed Eve. She'd have hurt him otherwise, and I couldn't let that happen. She couldn't hurt him, or you, if she was dead. I didn't kill her. You went to her home, argued. She hit you and you fought. You left and got drunk. You made your way to Leonardo's apartment, found her there. Maybe you argued again, maybe she attacked you again. You defended yourself, and things got out of hand. Mavis's big, tired eyes registered puzzlement first, then hurt. Why are you saying that? You know it's not true. Eyes flat, Eve leaned forward. She was making your life hell, threatening the man you love. She hurt you, physically. She was stronger than you. When she saw you come into Leonardo's, she went for you again. She knocked you down, you hit your head. Then you were afraid, you grabbed the closest thing at hand. To protect yourself, you hit her with it, to protect yourself. Maybe she kept coming at you, so you hit her again. To protect yourself. Then you lost control, and kept hitting her, and kept hitting her, until you realized she was dead. Mavis's breath sobbed through her lips. She shook her head, kept shaking it while her body trembled violently. I didn't kill her. She was already dead. For God's sake, Dallas, how can you think I could do that to anybody? Maybe you didn't. Push. Eve ordered herself as her heart bled. Push hard, for the record. Maybe Leonardo did, and you're protecting him. Did you see him lose control, Mavis? Did he pick up the walking stick and hit her? No, no, no. Or did you get there after he had done it, after he was standing over her body? Panicked. You wanted to help him cover it up, so you got him out. Called it in. It wasn't like that. She lunged up from her chair, cheeks white, eyes wild. He wasn't even there. I didn't see anyone. He could never do that. Why aren't you listening to me? I am listening to you, Mavis. Sit down. Sit down, Eve repeated more gently. We're almost done here. Is there anything you wish to add to your statement, or any change you wish to make in its content at this time? No, Mavis murmured and stared blindly over Eve's shoulder. This concludes interview on Mavis Freestone, Homicide File, Pandora. Dallas, Lieutenant Eve. She noted the date and time, disengaged the recorder, took a leveling breath. I'm sorry, Mavis. I'm so sorry. How could you do that? How could you say those things to me? I have to say those things to you. I have to ask those questions, and you have to answer them. She put a firm hand over Mavis's. I may have to ask them again, and you'll have to answer them again. Look at me, Mavis. She waited until Mavis shifted her gaze. I don't know what the sweepers will pull in, what the lab reports will say. But if we don't get real lucky, you're going to need a lawyer. The color faded from Mavis's face, even her lips, until she resembled a corpse with hurting eyes. You're going to arrest me? I don't know if it's going to come to that, but I want you to be prepared. Now, I want you to go home with Rourke, and get some sleep. I want you to try hard, real hard, to remember times and places and people. If you remember anything, You're going to record it for me. What are you going to do? I'm going to do my job. I'm damn good at my job, Mavis. You remember that, too, and trust me to clear this up. Clear this up, Mavis repeated, bitterness in her voice. Clear me, you mean? I thought it was innocent until proven guilty. That's just one of the bigger lies we live by. Standing, Eve ushered Mavis into the corridor. I'll do my best to close the case quickly. That's all I can tell you. You could tell me you believe me. I can tell you that, too. She just couldn't let it get in the way. There was always paperwork and procedure. Within an hour she had Mavis signed out and under voluntary holding at Rorke's. Officially, Mavis Freestone was listed as a witness. Unofficially, Eve knew she was the prime suspect. Intending to begin amending that immediately, she walked into her office. Okay, what's this shit about Mavis whacking some fancy-faced model? Feeny. Eve could have kissed every rumpled inch of him. He sat at her desk, his ubiquitous bag of sugared nuts in his lap, and a scowl on his wrinkled face. Word travels. It was the first thing I heard when I made my stop at the eatery. One of our top cops' pals gets collared. It makes a buzz. She hasn't been collared. She's a witness. For now. Media's picked it up already. They don't have Mavis's name yet, but they've got the victim's face splashed all over the screen. The wife dragged me out of the shower to hear about it. Pandora was a BFD. Big fucking deal. Alive or dead. Weary, Eve eased a hip onto the corner of her desk. Want a rundown of Mavis's statement? What do you think I'm here for? The ambience. She gave it to him in the cop shorthand they both understood, and left him frowning. Damn, Dallas, it doesn't look good for her. You saw them going at it yourself, alive and in person. Why the hell she got it into her mind to confront Pandora again? A broken bar rising. She paced the room. It makes it worse. I'm hoping the lab comes back with something, anything. But I can't count on it. What's your caseload like, Feeny? Don't ask. He waved that away. What do you need? I need a run on her credit account. The first place she remembers going into is Zigzag. If we can place her there, or at one of the other joints at time of death, she's clear. I can handle that for you. Butte broken bar. We got somebody hanging around the murder scene, bopping Mavis on the head. Chances are there won't be much of a time lag. I know. I've got to cover all the bases. I'm going to track down the people Mavis recognized at the victim's house, get statements. I've got to find a table dancer with a big dick and a tattoo. The fun never ends. She nearly smiled. I need to find people who can testify she was really ripped. Even with a dose of sober up, she couldn't have been clean enough to have taken out Pandora if she'd been drinking her way downtown. She claims Pandora was using something else I have to check out. Then there's the elusive Leonardo. Where the fuck was he? And where is he now?